Welcome back to another episode of Merge Extra. We are doing a Ramadan special in which we're speaking to people who have reverted to Islam. So today we have a guest and I'm very excited about this guest. Please welcome to the show, Oliver Allen.
Hi, thank you.
There's no one here too.
Wow.
I don't know why I said welcome to the show, but Oliver, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Can you start by introducing yourself, telling us a bit about your background?
Sure. So I'm Oliver, originally from the UK. I was born in the UK and I've been in Oman for 23 years.
23
I came in 2002. So a long time ago. And I've been in the region for probably 30 years. So I've more or less grown up in the Gulf region and specifically here in Oman. And
okay. So a lot of people know you on social media because you speak not only Arabic, but with an Omani accent. Can you tell us how you learned Arabic?
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember when we moved to the UAE, I was in I studied in Arabic school, and it was, I think it was a British curriculum school, but very Arabic in the sense that most of the students were Arab, and we used to take Arabic class. I think it was something like twice a day. It was quite intense, and obviously for me as an expat and for the expat students, we had what they called special Arabic, which was just very basic stuff
like alif, ba, ta, ta.
Box, ball, boy, girl, like that. And it was, as I say, for about 3 years. I lived there for 3 years, so it was twice a day for 3 years, reading and writing and stuff. It kind of sticks, and as I say, I was in that environment. I would hear Arabic in the playground.
So from a very young age.
From a young age, I was exposed to it a lot, and it's funny because I didn't really pick it up at that point, as I didn't learn to speak fluently. And then, ironically, we moved to Saudi after that, and in Saudi I was there for 4 years, and I didn't speak any Arabic at all because the school is a very, very British school.
Okay.
And the system there back then was all the schools and all the expats lived in compounds. And your whole life
Saudi Aramco.
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
So your whole life was in the compound. And if you go out the compound, you go to another compound.
Okay.
And I think once a month we used to go to the souk, to the market, and it was very limited exposure. So I ended up forgetting everything I learnt.
Okay. So you relearned it later.
And then when I came to Oman, I started to relearn it, not from school, just from, I guess, exposure, because you know what it's like here. It's the opposite of how I was saying in Saudi. Like here, our neighbors were, a lot of my neighbors are Omani. I used to play football in the neighborhood and stuff with Omani. So I was exposed to the language. And funny enough, at school, I went to international schools, and we had the choice of languages. They said, you can take French or Spanish or Arabic. So I said Arabic. And they said, no, you take French. So I had to take French.
So they forced you to take French?
Yeah, I was forced to take French. So I didn't learn in school. But just by having friends, I made the effort myself. It wasn't as if I just picked it up. I had to make a bit of effort. And I was interested to learn it. So just by having, I suppose, being exposed to it and making the effort to learn it and speak it, in time, over the course of a few years, I managed to pick it up.
Okay. I'm surprised, although I think it makes sense what you said about being in Saudi compounds, because I have seen the compounds in Aramco, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is very westernized. They don't speak Arabic much. Hatta the Saudis who live there, they don't really speak a lot of Arabic.
Yeah, it's a very Western experience.
Yeah, but then the rest of Saudi, there's a lot of people who don't speak English at all. I would have expected you to have picked it up there, but it's interesting that you picked it up
No,
here.
I was very sheltered when I was there.
In Saudi?
Yeah.
So you said, compound to compound.
Yeah, compound to compound.
Okay.
No interest. When you're young, you're not really interested in... I don't know, personally, I wasn't interested in... It never occurred to me to try and learn Arabic. It was only when I got older.
Okay.
That
makes sense.
I think when I realized that I really liked Oman and I wanted to stay here, that's when I made a bit of an effort, because I said, if I'm settled here, it makes sense to try and at least learn the language, especially because, and it's kind of going off on a tangent, but my experiences with the UK were quite negative growing up.
Okay.
Because we used to go back maybe once a year, once every couple of years in the holidays, and I always used to get teased and bullied because I was, they kind of looked at me as if I was from outside.
Okay.
Because where we're from is quite small, it's villages and stuff. So the other kids knew that I wasn't from. They'd never seen me before. I didn't go to any of the schools.
Okay.
And then when I was where do you live? I used to tell them I live in Saudi. I live in
UAE.
Where's that?
Oh.
Then they said other stuff. But the point is like I didn't feel
Like you fit in 100%.
yeah.
Okay.
I didn't fit in. So that was something else I think further down the line that pushed me to at least learn the language of the place where I feel that I fit in, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
So from a young age, you felt you fit in more in Oman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even when I finished school here, I went off to uni and
Where did you go to uni?
I went to America
Okay.
first, and I finished in the UK. But again, from like very early on being over there, I didn't feel like I fitted in, and I wasn't that comfortable. So I just sort of was like, okay, I'll finish my studies and stuff. I'll finish up, and I'll
Go
come
back
back
to
to live in Oman.
Does your family live here?
Yeah, they live here.
Your mom and dad?
Yeah, mom and dad.
Okay, so you're all settled here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my sister.
And your sister?
All of us.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So it's everyone here. So it's not like you have... Okay, maybe your extended family's back in the
Yeah,
UK.
but my what you call it?
Immediate family is here.
I'm the odd one out because odd one out because my family don't speak Arabic at all.
Your family... Okay, so it's just you from your whole family who've picked
my
up...
sister understands, but she doesn't speak it really.
Okay.
My parents don't speak Arabic.
Okay. I'm
At all,
interested... At all. Salam alaikum.
I think my dad probably knows how to say wa alaikum salam. I think
Okay.
my mom, bless her, probably doesn't know how to even
That's so
reply to
interesting.
that.
Okay, you spoke about fitting in. You do look very British.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ginger beard.
The ginger beard, it's like 100% British. Do you feel that, for example, when you start speaking Arabic هنا في Oman, do you think you get like, people get shocked when they see that? What's the reaction you get? That's a better question.
I think people often people always get surprised. Maybe now less so because I've become a bit well known. You know?
Very well known.
But generally speaking, perhaps before that, people would be pleasantly surprised.
Okay. It is a pleasant surprise.
And they would assume... So sometimes they wouldn't believe. They would assume that if I say I'm British, that I'm British from an Arabic background or something like that. So I get pressed on that. Yeah, but where are your parents from? Are your parents from the UK? Are they born? Yes, they're born in the UK. You know? So it was always a pleasant surprise. And some people wouldn't be able to... it wouldn't, like, in English, I don't know how to say it, like...
عادي say it in Arabic.
Okay. Like, they don't
grasp it, يعني.
Something like that. They don't grasp, and they will still speak to me in English, and they're like, yeah, wait, I remember you speak Arabic. So that was interesting.
Okay.
It was always interesting. But it was positive.
Okay.
It was always positive. Yeah.
And what made you decide to be on social media?
It's funny, like, to be honest, social media kind of... No, صح. I remember now. I had a couple of friends, and this was probably about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Just as Instagram and all those things were starting to come up. And I'm quite technophobic.
Okay.
To be honest. And it never even occurred to me to make like an account in Instagram and these things. And all my friends I see them like posting on Instagram and stuff. I was never interested. And then a couple of them talked to me and they said, why don't you, because you speak Arabic and stuff, why don't you like do videos and put the videos on, like do an account and put the videos on. And I never really, it just didn't make sense. Yeah, I didn't think anything of it, and I wasn't particularly interested. And I think I probably doubted myself as well. I think I probably doubted myself. Like, my Arabic's not good enough to do that kind of stuff. And then what happened was I saw someone showed me. Do you know Max of Arabia?
Yeah, I do know Max of Arabia. Yeah, the guy who lives in the UAE.
Yeah, they showed me his videos and his account and stuff. It's a similar concept. Like an American guy who speaks Arabic. And I thought that was quite cool. Like, maybe I could do something like that.
Okay.
And so I made an account. And I started doing some videos and stuff. And there was a video that went, like, not viral, but it got quite good views and stuff. And I don't know, I spent a couple of years just, like, continuing, if not, like, rigidly, but just every now and again posting videos. And then I think a couple of years after I started, someone contacted me to go on the news here in Oman. There was a program, I forget the name of the program, on Oman TV, just to talk about Arabic and how I spoke Arabic and stuff. And that video went viral. Like, that video went viral in Oman. Just the interview of me talking in Arabic about how I learned Arabic. And then someone sent it around on WhatsApp with my Instagram handle. And then I just got a bunch of followers the next day.
Okay.
And I was like, okay.
Now
what do I do, you know? So that kind of, so I got pushed into it, and I realized, it's a chance, it's a platform, and whatnot. So it's a opportunity to try and do something on social media. So it was kind of the other way around. And I started to think what kind of things I could post, and so that's how I got into it.
Okay. So now you're known on social media. People sometimes want to know about your life. There's something that confused everyone, and we had to clarify it. Like I asked you, I think within 5 minutes of you entering, someone said hi to you, and within 5 minutes of speaking to you, they asked you the same question. Is Zakaria your son?
No, is the answer.
Okay, so you're clarifying it here. Zakaria is not your son.
My son. Only on Instagram.
Only on Instagram, he's your son.
Yeah.
Okay, and you said something funny to the photographer who was speaking to you. You were like, not all Brits are related. So.
Yeah, because sometimes when I tell people,
he's
he's
British.
not your son, but he's British. Okay, yeah.
So what?
There's lots of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a big population.
We look a bit alike, maybe, that's why.
I think so, and I think maybe people hear or they see your content, but maybe they don't know that much about your personal life, so they just assumed, okay, maybe you had...
Fair enough.
Yeah, I just assumed, I'm like, maybe there's someone from the past, and subhanAllah.
Pre-Islam past, that would be.
Pre-Islam past. Okay, so your pre-Islam past. Can you talk to me a bit about that?
Inshallah. So I've been a Muslim since 2014. In Ramadan, actually.
SubhanAllah.
So 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how I found Islam, or Islam found me, to be honest, because growing up I was never religious.
Okay.
I was never religious.
So you don't come from a religious household?
No, not at all. I was never really brought up with religion. For us, religion was just like go to church for Christmas. You know, Santa will come.
So for the big
Christmas.
holidays.
Yeah, I think Christmas and Easter.
Okay.
And for me, it was always like Easter. There was like chocolate and stuff. and
so you were in it for the chocolate, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. And I went through a phase, probably in my teens, where I was very like, I don't know, like anti-religion or something like that. Very sort of strong atheist.
Okay.
If you like. And I never actually looked into religion. It was just kind of the perception I had of the sort of different religions that I knew about. I just saw lots of negative things, so I just kind of put that idea aside. And it was not something I was interested in. I never really researched religions or anything. And as I mentioned, I grew up here and I finished high school and I went to America. And here's really where it kind of the story started, because in America, at this point I'd been in Oman for a number of years, and I felt very at home in Oman, and I had an insight into the culture. I knew about the culture. I knew about the religion, very superficially, but I knew about Islam. And it's funny, when I went to America, because I was a Brit coming from the Middle East, I got a lot of questions. And negatively framed questions about Islam and Muslims. You know, first they were very happy to find out I was British. Oh my God, you're British. You know what Americans really
they like the accent. You've got an accent.
Yeah. Oh my God, you speak British.
Okay.
Are you related to the Queen? This kind of.
They would ask you these questions.
Yeah.
They ask us if we have camels and oil in our backyard. So
I tell them, I'm from the UK and whatnot, but I don't live there. I've never lived there. I live in the Middle East. Middle East alarm bells start ringing. Oh my God, Islam.
From Saudi Arabia,
Muslim. These type of things. Terrorism. So I got.
So that's true. They actually do have this mentality.
People, obviously. Those days, it was pre-social media. Okay. So, and this was like not that long after 9/11. So there was a lot of negative perceptions and stuff in the press, and it filters down to people who, I don't know. Maybe I was dealing with people who are not the most
cultured. Cultured.
Yeah, not particularly cultured. So they were genuine when they'd ask these questions. Do you guys live side by side with them? How are you a Muslim? No, I'm not a Muslim. Why haven't they chopped your head off?
Okay.
Like crazy questions, and you'd think it was a joke, but it wasn't, which was.
I've had these questions asked to me, so I know it's not a joke.
And I didn't like it, obviously. It was someone coming from having lived in a Muslim countries with Muslims, Arabs, non-Arabs, Muslims from different backgrounds. I'd had a very good upbringing. A lot of friends at school were Muslim. My neighbors were Muslim. Never any issues. And then there I was, kind of being put on the spot and questioned about Muslims in that, as I say, very loaded questions. I didn't like it, so I defended the people I had kind of grown up with. I said, none of this is true. I don't know what they're telling you guys, but this is not true. Like, all these weird ideas you have are very, very far from the truth. Like, where we live is a very developed country, and in some things more developed than, in some aspects, and more developed than other countries, like the country I was in at the time. And I would tell them this, like the whole idea of going to school on a camel and stuff. It's just these ideas are so stupid. Like,
Okay.
So far from reality.
It's
so
stupid, but it's funny, yani, to think that someone actually has that thought. Okay.
Yeah. And so then they kind of pinned me down. They said, okay, but why do Muslim women have to wear hijab? Why do they cover their face? And why is it terrorism and this and that? And I couldn't answer and say this is from the religion or this is not from the religion, because I didn't know about the religion in depth. I just knew very basic stuff, Ramadan, prayer, and so on and so forth. So that encouraged me to at least go away and do a bit of research, so I could at least come back and not just answer from emotion, but to be honest, factual. And honestly, what happened was, subhanAllah, I never had any intention to become Muslim, or never crossed my mind to look into religion, to explore it, to maybe become Muslim. It was just so I could at least be factually correct when I would
respond to them.
And I'd spent about 3 years kind of researching Islam at this point. At that point I moved, I think after 2 years in America, I moved to the UK. I continued, and a few things happened in the UK, like same kind of questions and
questions
similar
about
scenarios,
Islam
not to the same extent, but the same kind of weird questions. And I just kept going really with it, and I learned a lot. Like, I discovered that Islam was completely different to what I had expected from the offset, because I had this idea before. I was quite my understanding of religion was very sort of negative, and I was very much like, I believe in science and
logical.
These religions are very backwards and stuff. And I can talk for Islam. I discovered that wasn't the opposite was true.
Was there anything in particular that stood out to you when you were searching?
Yeah, I liked the fact that, for one thing, Islam encompasses everything in your life. From it's not just you pray on a particular day of the week. No, you have to. It covers everything: financial transactions, your relationship with Allah, how you deal with other people. Down to the T, so that I wasn't expecting that at all.
Okay.
And then there was another thing, which was that not everything in Islam is logic, but there's a lot of things which can be explained by logic, like how we divide up inheritance, and those particular things. I remember that kind of struck me.
Okay.
And I found that interesting, and also the fact that it's a very disciplined religion, which really drew me to it. Like, I got to a point where I really loved Islam just because of the discipline.
Are you a disciplined person? Like, would you call yourself a disciplined person?
No. Not normal, not...
Okay, but still that is something that drew you in.
Yeah,
discipline.
Because I think I personally need that I need something that forces me to be disciplined. I have to wake up every day of whatever it is, 4:30 or 5 o'clock. For one thing, if you feel like going to pray, you don't feel like it, doesn't matter, you go and do it. So that really drew me to the religion. The prohibitions and stuff. For some people, maybe that's it's difficult to give those things up. But for me, I like that you can't do this and that and that. So those things sort of pulled me to Islam, and I got to a point where, even though I didn't really believe in God, I was still, by this point, I really respected Islam a lot.
Okay.
And I had a feeling where I wanted to be a Muslim, but I still didn't believe in God. So that kind of was the next phase of my journey, if you like, which was to kind of think about that topic.
Of God?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I don't think I ever really thought about it before. I just, wasn't raised with anything, so I went with that. And then what happened was, I had a friend who would really, يعني جزاه الله خير, he helped me along the way.
In the UK?
No, he's Omani.
Oh, he's Omani. Okay.
So I would read and research and stuff, but I'd often go back to him just to clarify things or to ask about things. And so he really painted a very nice picture of Islam for me. And I remember one day, he said to me, you know, I'll be honest with you, Oliver, I think by this point we'd been in touch for 2 years. And he said, I've never said this to you, but I'm going to say it to you. It's a shame that you're not a Muslim.
Okay.
And I said, I think I surprised him. I said, you know, actually, I'll be honest with you, I wish that I could be a Muslim. I remember that's exactly what I told him, but in Arabic. And he said, okay, be a Muslim. And if you're saying you want to be a Muslim, be a Muslim. So I told him the problem is, it's the same thing I said, I don't believe in Allah, like I don't believe in God. I like the religion, I respect the religion very much. I wish I could be a Muslim, but I'm not. And he said, okay, Ramadan is coming up in 3 days, 4 days. I want you to do something. I want you to fast. He either told me fast the first day or just fast Ramadan. And I was hesitant at first because it's kind of the idea, the concept, if you've never done it before, it's the idea of going a whole day without drinking and stuff.
Did you not fast for the Easter thing? There's a...
No.
Oh, no. Okay, so there was no fasting.
I think that's Catholics, but they don't fast. I think they give up, they pick something, they give it up for 40 days.
I have a friend who fasts from 12 to 12, but they also have to give up something.
Yeah, so he said fast, and I was kind of apprehensive, but I said, let me give it a go, at least, like, there's no harm, it's gonna come of it. And I tried, and I didn't really know what the relationship was between what I was saying and what he told me, but I said, okay, no problem, I'll fast. And I fasted, and I remember it was surprisingly easy. It wasn't how I imagined, like maybe towards the end of the day, it's a bit difficult. Like you get a bit thirsty.
You're waiting for adhan al
Yeah. And I remember something that happened. Because I was obviously living with my parents, so I was the only one fasting, and I prepared like iftar for myself. But I made everything. Like I made biryani, and like everything you can think of, I got in one table. Like coffee and tea and water and juice and laban and biryani and sambusa and everything. And as soon as I had the adhan, I ate everything. And
okay, I mean,
and I couldn't move for like.
Okay, there we go. Morning. Like I was waiting. Were you able to move?
After about half an hour, it's set in 20 minutes, half an hour. So that was my first ever day of fasting. And the funny thing that happened was I continued. Like as I said, it wasn't particularly.
Oh, so you continued for the whole month, Yani?
Yeah, it wasn't as difficult as I had imagined. And I was working. Like I used to go out, and my work was outside. And this was 11 years ago. This was like July, I think.
Oh, summer.
And it was, alhamdulillah, it was surprisingly, Allah made it easy for me.
Alhamdulillah.
And I got to a point where I also had a spiritual feeling.
Okay.
That came with the fasting. I remember, like, I started to appreciate things. You know, like, even I'd break fast on food that I don't, so I'd eat food that I don't particularly like, but when I would eat it, because I'd been fasting that day, I appreciated it. And I don't know, like it set off a spiritual thing inside me. And it got me really thinking, like maybe a couple of weeks into the month, like really thinking about the topic of the existence of Allah, of God. And I really thought about it deeply. And the first thing I had to admit to myself was the position I had was only my position because I hadn't been given anything else. Or kind of that's all I knew. And I never really thought about it in depth. And when I thought about it in depth, with everything, it only made sense that there has to be a creator.
Okay, so you kind of went from a logical perspective.
Yeah, the first thing I did was looked at it from a logical perspective. That if we have things which are created, like ourselves, our bodies, the whole universe, it's arrogance, I believe, to say that it's by chance. That's very arrogant. So I accepted this, and I realized that there has to be a creator. And you know, I'd spent maybe 3 years now by this point studying Islam, and I knew that Islam was the religion of Allah. It wasn't like I accepted as a creator and then I have to think, okay, which religion to follow, and go and research all these different religions. I knew that Islam was the religion of Allah, and anyone who's genuinely looked into Islam and studied Islam would know that. They would understand what I mean. Maybe someone who hasn't would say, well, that's just because the only thing you looked at was Islam. I know that Islam is the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
100% convinced in your heart.
Yeah. There's no.
By the time you converted, yani.
Yeah. I was. Honestly, I accepted this truth. This is 2 weeks into the month of Ramadan.
Okay.
I just accepted this, and I became Muslim.
That's very interesting to me, because when you first said that you explained to your friend that you still don't feel the connection to God and he told you to fast, the first thing that came in my mind is, will that help? Because I don't know, because like when you fast, you're not just giving up food and everything. It's like
it's worship.
Hey,
fasting is worship.
Fasting is worship, and you're doing it for Allah. You're doing it for that. But I was thinking, I'm like, when you don't do it with that particularly in mind, does it work? But then, subhanallah, you said something, and I think there is a science behind it. Like, it does make you feel more spiritual.
It definitely
just the act.
To Allah. Any act of worship gets the person closer to Allah.
صح.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that was his intention behind it. Yeah.
Very.
I realized obviously later.
Okay.
Later on. And now that's how I.
So you reverted هناك in Ramadan?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I obviously continued fasting the rest of the month after that.
Okay, now you have to خلاص.
Yeah.
How was your parents' reaction?
They're very supportive.
Okay, from the get-go, from the beginning?
Yeah. I remember when I told them that I was going to fast, they were very supportive. They thought it's good, you should do that. Like, it's good, you live here, your friends are Muslim. So it's a good thing. And when I became Muslim, they were very positive. And I remember, like, my mom kind of talked to me. She said, I'm personally, like, I'm sorry that I never really gave you any kind of religion.
Okay.
But she said, I was never convinced by anything. So I didn't want to give you something or teach you something I was not convinced by.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what, okay, alhamdulillah, people were accepting. And I'm assuming that the people around you, your friends and everything, most of them, I would assume, were Muslim anyway.
Yeah, most of them were Muslim.
Okay. But you didn't have an issue with the post-conversion of, like...
I mean, so obviously from my Muslim friends, some of them were good Muslims and some of them were not so good Muslims.
Okay.
So I kind of... It's funny, though, even the non-practicing Muslims were very supportive. They said, it's good, but don't hang around with us anymore.
They told you.
Yeah.
Okay, at least they were honest.
Okay, thanks for telling me. Ciao. Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
but
some of them themselves changed, alhamdulillah. Some of them, subhanallah.
But then, okay, as a new Muslim, sometimes it becomes hard to differentiate who's a good Muslim, who's a bad Muslim. I think if you're like, for example, for us, we were raised, we know what's right, what's wrong. We know who's following, who's not.
Yeah.
How was it for you navigating through that, knowing who's right, who's wrong? Who do you ask, Yani?
It's a good question because as soon as I reverted, I took like lessons at the Islamic Center. So lessons in like Aqidah, like creed, I guess.
Creed,
jurisprudence. It's a bit of a mouthful. Islamic history and these topics.
With everything we put subtitles. So بالعربي subtitles.
Oh, okay, good. So I took lessons in these different kind of fields. One of them was obviously fiqh, which is jurisprudence, rulings, I suppose, if you like. Yeah. Things that you have to avoid and things you have to do. So I found that kind of confusing in the sense I would be learning something, or I'd learn something, and then in reality I would see a lot of people, a lot of Muslims kind of going against that. I always remember, as an example, the backbiting and lying.
Oh, that's quite
people might
common.
think, he's going to say like, not all Muslims have a beard, or not all Muslims pray. No, backbiting and lying, these are massive sins in our religion. And how often do we come across people doing that, or even fall into it ourselves? Yeah, that was one of the things that really struck me. So I kind of struggled with that at the beginning a bit.
Okay.
It's like, okay, like, am I extreme because I'm following these things? I'm not to imply I was, perfect. I'm still learning till today, I think we probably all are. But, someone has to at least make the effort. We make mistakes and stuff, and we repent to Allah, but a Muslim has to have the right intention, from the get-go. And I kind of got to a phase where I got influenced by these type of people where I would just be like, okay, no need to be extreme. And then I got to a point where I was like, no, like, at the end of the day, this is the religion. Some people are born into it, and that's... No one gets a golden ticket to Jannah. So if you're born a Muslim and you're not a good Muslim, then it's... I think it's your problem. So,
True.
So I just want to do the right thing.
Okay.
Regardless of what people think or what people say. And I just, as I say, like I'm not trying to make out I'm some kind of perfect Muslim, but I try
But
my
we're
hardest.
trying. Like everyone is trying.
And I don't feel shy of things which are considered to be extreme.
Okay.
You know, like I have a beard, and most people say
That's a bit too much.
مطوع, ما أعرف.
Okay, so this doesn't bother you.
Yeah, the short dash and stuff like that.
Okay.
I just roll with the punches. You know?
Okay. Yeah, and plus you're on social media. Sometimes people can say this stuff, but maybe we don't hear them. But you have it on social media. They'll say it in your comment section.
Yeah, have a look at the comment section.
I thought I have
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's why I'm like, okay. Yani sometimes they say things that shock me because of the fact that. I mean, okay, it shouldn't be that shocking because there's a, I think it's a hadith that says that Islam came as something strange and it will end at the end of times. It will become something strange again.
Exactly.
I don't know like how to translate it in a proper way, but that's the gist of it.
I think that's,
أيوة.
that's the gist of it.
When I think of that, I'm like, okay, it's not strange that this is happening, but then
also it's not. I realize this. Like, it's not strange that you get a lot of people who are born as Muslims who aren't practicing, because, as you know, like in our religion, Islam is for everybody.
صح.
And as I said, being born into it doesn't actually mean anything.
صح.
You can be born into something else and become Muslim, and vice versa. So it's. I used to find it like weird to understand, and I realized it's not actually that weird.
Yeah, but then it's even mentioned in their religion, al-iman, it goes up and down, and like the more we sin, minor sins and stuff, our iman kind of goes lower, and you always have to, يعني I don't know how to say it, but جدد الإيمان يعني. You know, to refine your هذا, تستغفر, do stuff like that, and get yourself back up. But we all do fall into sins, and that will lower our iman. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا. Yeah, like there's a reason these du'as
exactly.
are
Anyone can go from something to something else, like from being not a Muslim to a Muslim, and being a practicing Muslim to a not practicing.
Yeah, or
whatever,
even just having a bit of a lower iman. Like I was listening to, I think, Nu'man Ali Khan, and he was saying like القلوب, like one of the reasons it's called the qalb is because
yes, yeah,
يتقلب يعني, it's not always the same. You know, even your iman, which is like it's centered in your heart, it goes up and down.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to keep trying to renew your faith and make sure that you're as good as you can be. Yani.
Yeah, exactly.
But people do fall off and back, and I actually struggled with this concept as well. I'm like, because you see a lot of Muslims, for example, مثلا drinking or doing things that it's completely like there's not even a question about it. It's like an X in our religion. Yani.
Yeah.
I would wonder, I'm like, how did you get to that phase where like things that are completely banned in our religion are completely okay with you?
That.
Yeah, but then I feel like I understood it growing up, because when you drift up a bit, it becomes easier to drift.
You know, the best thing I've learned, sorry to cut you off,
no, go.
is that, as they say, صاحب ساحب. A good friend pulls you.
That's
either
true.
way.
I actually faced that as well.
Is a good friend or not a good friend?
صح.
And I've really experienced this. So I think any person should have the aim to surround themselves with good people.
Okay.
So again, going back to something that drew me to Islam in the beginning.
Okay.
Was the concept of, if you feel like praying or you don't feel like it, it doesn't actually matter.
Have to.
You have to do this for Allah, and whatever. If you don't feel like it, or you don't feel like doing ma'ruf, like
that doesn't matter.
Nice, but it doesn't actually matter. So just do it. And I like that idea of discipline. And I like the fact that, again, I discovered this Islam is not wishy-washy. As I said, like you have to do this, and you have to wake up this time and pray these things, and you can't do this, and you can't do this, and you can't do this. These things you have to avoid. Everything else is mubah. Everything else is permissible. Okay. So, again, something else. I had like 3 different thoughts, and then I kind of lost the last thought. It'll probably come back to me. Okay. Do
you remember what it was kind of about?
No, it was related to this topic. Yes.
Cool.
Again, this was something around the time when I reverted to Islam, when I was thinking about the concept of God and of Allah. The concept of the Shahada.
Okay.
Which in English is the declaration of faith.
I bear witness.
Yeah. So, and I was thinking like, okay, the whole concept of the Shahada, from what I understood at that point, was you just bear witness that God is one. So then I was thinking, at one point but then how does that differentiate it from certain other religions? Because there are certain other beliefs that have existed throughout time where the belief is that there's one God, one deity. And it was when I kind of dived deep into this topic of understanding what it really means, La ilaha illallah, that I understood. It's like in Arabic we'd say mithaq, probably like a contract is the best way to say it in English. That you pledge, that you bear witness that there is
No
Allah
God
is one,
but Allah
and that you will
Prophet is his
be you will not ما تعصي, and you will not
disobey him.
disobey him. And if you do, then you make repentance.
Okay.
I understood this is the concept of Islam, or this is the concept of shahada. This is the concept of tawheed. So that helped me. And I think going back to what we were saying, why we get people who maybe are not practicing and stuff, that is one of the things. It's because of like the basic understanding of Islam. Maybe there's something lacking there in their understanding. And it's understandable because, again, if people are born into a religion, they don't necessarily go and research about it. They're just born into it.
صح.
So I think that's probably one of the main reasons.
I want to talk about fitya.
Okay.
Tell me about fitya before I ask you why you started it.
Fitya. Okay. So subhanAllah, the idea came, it's related to the topic we were just talking about. It came about because me and he's my friend at the time and like business partner, who now we're business partners in fitya, or partners in fitya I should say. We realized that there's a need for the youth need these type of programs. What we do programs basically aimed at the youth, which mix, and I always have a problem in English saying this.
Say it in
In Arabic it's ta'lim or tarfih. Ta'lim is like education. Tarfih,
entertainment.
yeah, but I feel like it doesn't give the exact.
But
When I hear
what you're
entertainment, I think of like cinema and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's more broad. Like we do entertainment-wise, like trips,
Okay.
hiking, sports, and stuff like that. So we mix everything. So there's education, there's fun stuff, entertainment, and we realized that the youth need programs essentially because if we look at the kind of not only the religious side but even the if you like the
Moral?
cultural side. What was it you said?
Moral?
I was going to say like from a cultural perspective, this is like perhaps a big difference between this young generation and our generation and the previous generation. You know, in terms of I don't know, the best example is like adab al-majalis. Like
Okay, like كيف يغنموا هذه
I don't know in English.
يعني the
like
traditions and
Traditions,
the,
customs.
أيوة.
Yeah. Like they don't
like
have,
how to serve coffee, how to say
Yeah.
hello in the right way, how to introduce yourself in the right way. For
Yeah.
example, these kind of
which in this culture, like in Arabic culture, is it's a very deep thing. Like, it probably doesn't exist so much in our culture, in Britain, for example. And the point is that they're kind of missing this.
Okay. So there's a lack
lots
of these
reasons.
skills. So there's a lack of these skills, and you were trying to fill that gap.
That was one of the goals of fitya. Even the religious side. Yeah, I mean, it's not fitya is not like you know, we have like Marakis Sayfiya, like the summer
Camps?
Summer camps, I guess they call them, for like they're very religious centered. Fitya is not like that. People think it's like that, but it's not the same concept. It's mainly just like trying to give the youth some, you know, stuff to do. Like we do workshops for them as well, in many different things. Like we'll do public speaking, we'll do barista.
Interesting.
What have we done? We've done photography.
Okay.
Just to give them different skills and stuff to see what a chance to kind of
interested in.
explore their own interests and see what they're good at, see what they like, to kind of help them, I guess, with in future. So that's the general idea of fitya.
Okay. And why did you feel like you wanted to open something like that? Was there something in particular you saw that made you feel like, no, we need this now?
In the Majalis, like
Okay.
that really hit the nail on the head for us. Like we realized that they don't know these basic what do you call it, like etiquettes and stuff. So and there's not really any centers, or there's not really any initiatives, if you like, for this type of thing. So we said, why don't we set something up? Like why don't we do something instead of just complaining? So we said, let's do something.
Okay.
And we want to make it fun. Like that's the whole idea of fitya is it's fun. It's not meant to be boring. We don't want it to be like lectures and stuff. So even what we call semt, which is this majlis etiquette, it's not just like lectures and whatnot. Like the teacher comes and he'll talk to the students, but it's mainly like role play and getting them up to do it practically, you know.
In an engaging way, yeah.
Yeah, engaging, and then we give them, we do like a practical exam, if you like, which is what we have is we have a lunch and we invite people, and they take care of the like how to greet them and how to munashida and how to pour the coffee and so on and so forth.
Like the videos you do with your not son, Zakaria.
With my Instagram son.
Oh, with your Instagram son is better than not son. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. How to sell them, how to...
Okay. That's part of the Fitya program, yani.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big part of the program.
Okay. Now to end this podcast, what would you say to مثلا someone who's not Muslim who is interested in exploring Islam? What would your advice be as someone who went through it?
I believe we need to explore anything with open, what's the expression?
An open heart?
Open heart. There's another open mind? Or no?
Open mind,
open heart.
Okay.
Because that's my train of thought. No, I was going to say because if you need to you have to be honest with yourself. Like you want to arrive at the truth. You have to if you really genuinely want to arrive at the truth, then you have to open up your mind and your heart and make the effort, explore different things and look at different things. Explore Islam in a non-biased way, from the right sources in the right way. How
do they find the right sources?
It's a good question, because there is misinformation out there. But I mean, I personally watch a lot of the da'is who are on YouTube. Again, some of them are good, some of them are not so good. So I think in order to know who to watch or what to read, and you probably do need to if you have like Muslim friends, they can probably guide you and push you in the right direction. I think also if you ask God to guide you which one to check, I mean, yeah, go to if there's like a Muslim center. If you live in a non-Muslim country, there are Muslim centers. Even here in Oman, we have the Muslim center at the Grand Mosque. So yeah, you have to be wise in where you take your information from. And if you look at it, as I say, with an open heart, you'll arrive at the truth, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you very much for joining us on this podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.